Okay, so now we are going to the next essential element which affects the consent, and under section 17 it is called as fraud. So once your consent is obtained by fraud, or the other person has not shared the right thing with you, and on the basis of the wrong thing which he has told to you, and you have entered into the contract, so do you think it's going to be justified? It is going, because when we say that the party to the contract should have given the consent, and that should be free, and he should understand all the terms, etc., in same sense at the same time, right? So if you are being misguided and you have been shown something else, and this being, you are being given something else, so will you accept that particular commodity, or will you accept the particular contract?
No, ma'am.
Right. So when we say fraud, so fraud means that either you are making some false statement, or you are hiding some fact, or you are showing to the other party the thing which does not exist, and you are showing which actually does not exist, and your intention is to defraud others. It's not unintentional. And all these activities have been done to compel to enter into the contract, right? So, fraud says that it is intentional or willful misrepresentation which are material for the formation of the contract, and intention have misled the other party. अगर वो आपको material fact hide नहीं किया होता, या वो चीज आपको नहीं दिखाई होती, so you would have not entered into the contract. So because the particular thing has been shown, the particular thing has been presented, that's why you have taken the decision to enter into the contract. So for example, if a particular commodity is say you went to buy a mobile phone, right? So you have not specifically asked for a particular brand, and you have not specifically asked for a particular model. You just have said that I need a mobile phone where the memory should be expandable, or it should carry the latest software which is upgradable with one of the particular software you require, or one particular application you require, right? So in this particular situation, what happens that when we say that a mobile phone had required which was upgradable, and the other person is offering you say product X, mobile X, which is upgradable, right? So in this particular case, what happens that it is being told by the other person that this particular model or this particular mobile, as per your budget and requirement, this has this particular feature. If the person have not told you that this feature exists, you would have not purchased that mobile phone, right? So in that case, if the other person has intentionally or willfully misrepresented something which is material means that it is directly related to subject matter of the contract. अगर वो suppose ये कहता है ये expandable है memory, but इसके साथ आपको उसका cover जो है वो free नहीं मिलेगा. It is chargeable. If you want to take it, fine. If you don't want to take it, that's okay. So in that case, the particular decision that cover is not available does not make you eligible to set aside the contract. But definitely if it is related to the material thing of or formation of the contract, so in that case the particular contract is affected by fraud. So it says that fraud means any act committed by the other party. Any act means कि वो कोई भी एक्टिविटी हो सकती है, in terms of false statement, in terms of hiding, in terms of misrepresenting. So any act committed by the other party to a contract with his convenience. convenience or by his agent with intent to deceive another party, thereto or his agent, or to induce him to enter into the contract, false statement of fact. तो कोई भी ऐसी एक्टिविटी जो की गई है दूसरी पार्टी को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में लाने के लिए एज पर हिज कन्वीनियंस, means the person is selling the product and he has explained you the features and they have taken the advantage of his position, or by his agent, the person shopkeeper himself or the salesperson over there, and with an intent to deceive the other party thereto or his agent to induce him to enter into the contract. So either you are making a false statement, hiding the fact, or showing something else, and with an intention to defraud the other, with an intention to enter into the contract, it is said fraud is being applied. Meaning of fraud is clear? Right. So it means fraud means it includes a statement is made which one himself believes it not to be true. It means that if a salesman knowingly telling you that the memory is expandable, but he is aware of the fact that it is not expandable, then it would amount to fraud. अगर उसे खुद को ही नहीं पता है and then he is making a mistake unintentionally, then it would be known as misrepresentation instead of fraud. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हम उसमें भी सेटिसाइड करेंगे, but the effects or the remedies would be different. So if there is a misrepresentation, the person is doing it unintentionally, the repercussions or the effects would be different. But if the person is doing it intentionally, then it would amount to fraud. So if the person knows himself this is wrong and still he is making that statement, suggestion as a fact means that making a false statement जो उसको खुद को पता है कि वो गलत है. So in that case, this would amount to fraud. Secondly, active concealment of the fact by having knowledge of the belief of the fact. You know that it is not expandable, but you have offered the product and you have hided the fact that it is not expandable, right? Then इसके अंदर ना हम later on जब हम सेल ऑफ गुड्स एक्ट में डिस्कस करेंगे लेट द बायर बिवेयर, तो उसमें भी हम देखेंगे कि किस सिचुएशन में हम सेलर के ऊपर डिपेंड कर सकते हैं और कहाँ पे डिपेंड नहीं कर सकते. सो इफ द पर्टिकुलर थिंग द पर्सन is literate and he can read, write and understand, and if it is on the box it is written that this memory is only 64 GB and you have demanded 128 GB, so it means that you have to check. If the person says that okay it is 128 GB, so you have the option to check the product before buying. So the situation, these circumstances or options would come under the sale of goods act and we'll be discussing in detail there. But here from the aspect of the fraud we say कि अगर कोई गलत स्टेटमेंट दी है या आप एक्टिवली किसी उसके इंपॉर्टेंट पैरामीटर्स को हाइड करते हो जो आपको पता है, or a promise made without intention of performing it, that this particular phone is of 64 GB and it is expandable, so I'll be giving you the SD card of 64 GB with this for when you purchase this particular phone. And once you have purchased this particular phone, you have got it built, the other person refused to provide this SD card. So then in that case, either you can compel to reduce the price which you have to shell out for purchasing the additional memory card, or you can compel him to provide the SD card as promised. So a promise made without intention of performing it, any other act fitted to deceive, or any such act or omission which is declared fraudulent will be covered in the meaning of fraud, right? So let's move further. What are the essential elements of fraud? There must be false representation of fact. The representation must have been made with the knowledge that it is not true. Still you are making it. You are hiding the particular important aspect or material fact of the contract. The representation must have been made with an intention to deceive the other party, and the decision or the fact which you have made or you have hidden must have influenced or must have affected the consent of the other party to enter into the contract. And the party misled must suffer some loss. If the party is not suffering any loss or any damage, it would not amount to fraud. The party cannot set aside the contract, right? Then we will discuss silence as fraud. So wherever the person have the duty to speak, in those cases, if the person remains silent and have not shared the situation, then this silence would also amount to fraud. So, for example, if there are certain change of circumstances, it is your duty to tell the other party that the circumstances are changed, or this particular new GST or the new lot has come on which 10% additional GST is there. So you have to shell out the if you buy it the old lot, you don't have to pay this amount, or if you buy a new lot, you have to pay additional 10% amount. So where person remains silent, where it was his duty to speak, this will would amount to fraud. Where there is a person considered that there is silence is equivalent to speech. So where you have the trust and faith on the other party, and the other party has the duty to speak, but the other person remains silent, there is, we can say, the silence would amount to fraud. And where a person knows that his, if he is not going to clear a particular point, or he is not going to share it with the other person, then in that case, the person will take it otherwise. So there also silence would amount to fraud. And where there are change of circumstances, there also the silence would amount to fraud. So there can be a question under what circumstances silence is considered as fraud. So you have to explain these three situations along with the help of the examples. And where a person has declared half of the things, but remaining half to be presumed or assumed by the party, there also the silence related to remaining things shall be considered as fraud. Where the person have the duty to speak, if there are certain contract of insurance, certain contracts of family settlement, allotment of shares, contract of guarantee, in all these circumstances the person is considered as the duty to speak, that all the relationship or the situations, there must be complete clarity about the thing. So if you remain silent, or you remain you talk about only half truths, so this can mislead the contract, or this can mislead the other party, and it all these situation, it would amount to fraud, because you had the duty to speak but you have not shared the complete details. So there it will be considered as the fraud, right? Shall I share these two slides? Contract of insurance, contract of family settlement, allotment of shares in a company, contract of guarantee, contract of partnership, contract of fiduciary relationship, contract of sale of immovable property, contract of marriage. Here I can give you one example. Are you people aware of the concept of the freehold and leasehold? Yes. When we talk about the freehold, so freehold means that when we are constructing a building or a house on a particular place, so this particular land belongs to the authorities. So suppose in Delhi we have the Delhi development authorities, right? And this is if it is then it will be called as the leasehold. But if you want to take it the charge of the land as well, so you have to pay certain charges for the conversion of the property into freehold. Otherwise, suppose A is selling his property to B, right? And all the properties in the particular locality are freehold. So B assumes that the property of A which he is buying is also freehold. But A has not disclosed the fact before the deal that it is not freehold, and while transferring, you have to shell out, or you have to pay 5 lakh rupees extra fee to convert it into freehold. So here there is a duty to speak contract with respect to sale of immovable property, that you the seller is bound to disclose all the defects or all the material facts related to the property to the buyer. So in that case, this will there is duty to speak, and if the person does not speak, it would amount to fraud. So later on, we can ask A to compensate either by reducing the sale price by 5 lakh, which is he is required to shell out to get it converted into freehold, or he can ask A to get it converted into freehold and then transfer the property in the name of the will. Right? Makes sense? So similarly, you can take out the point and you can write down the example for the same.
मैम फ्री होल्ड और लीज होल्ड का एक बार दोबारा बता सकते हो?
Yes, suppose when we talk about that we purchase the movable property, तो जितने भी हम कंस्ट्रक्शन करते हैं ना बेटा, तो जो ओनरशिप होती है वो आपकी कंस्ट्रक्शन की होती है. तो अर्लियर डेज यू मस्ट हैव रिमेम्बर कि आपका हाउस टैक्स और लीज होल्ड चार्जेस और सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ टैक्सेस वी यूज टू पे, राइट?
मैम ये बट बड़ी रिसेंटली ही अबॉलिश हुए हैं दिल्ली में तो।
यस, सो अबॉलिश हो गए ना. सो दैट्स
हम्म।
व्हाई अगर आपका कोई पर्टिकुलर प्रॉपर्टी से इज रिजाइडिंग अब्रॉड फॉर लास्ट 10 years, तो उसने अपनी प्रॉपर्टी फ्री होल्ड कन्वर्ट कराई नहीं, उसके टैक्सेस ड्यू है. या सपोज यू हैव परचेज अ पर्टिकुलर प्रॉपर्टी, तो उसके पिछले 5 years के जो है आपके इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के बिल पेंडिंग है, उसने पिछले 5 साल के इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के बिल ही पे नहीं किए. सो वंस यू आर ट्रांसफरिंग द प्रॉपर्टी, so whosoever will become the owner, he'll have to shell out this payment because he is going to use the electricity. So जितने 5 साल के पिछले बिल होंगे, because now he is the owner, he is liable to pay. So once the deal is being done or the transfer is being done, this should be disclosed. तो अगर वो डिस्क्लोज नहीं करते हैं तो वो ड्यूटी टू स्पीक वाले कैटेगरी में आ जाएगा और वो अनड्यू इन्फ्लुएंस की कैटेगरी में आ जाएगा, फ्रॉड की कैटेगरी में आ जाएगा, सॉरी, because you have not disclosed all the material facts. तो उसी तरह फ्री होल्ड और लीज होल्ड का हो गया कि अगर प्रॉपर्टी आपकी फ्री होल्ड है, so it is free, you don't have to pay any taxes or charges etc. But if it is leasehold, you have to pay the charges and all. And if the particular rule is abolished, so you have to before transferring it into your name, you have to get it converted into freehold. You have to pay the extra charges for the same. पर जो आपकी डील हुई उसमें तो हमारी बात नहीं हुई थी कि एक्स्ट्रा चार्जेस पे होंगे, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाई वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ ऑल मटेरियल फैक्ट्स.
मैम ये पेमेंट्स वगैरह के अलावा कोई डिफरेंस होता है फ्री होल्ड और लीज होल्ड में?
No, this is just thing that you have you have got it clear. Just sort of अगर हम कोई पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट लेते हैं तो अगर वो हाइपोथिकेटेड है किसी के पास, ठीक है, और आपने उसकी जो यू हैव टू हैव द क्लियरेंस ऑफ द सेम. फॉर एग्जांपल, आई हैव परचेज माय कार ऑन लोन and I have paid all the loan, right? So I have to take clearance because still the ownership is with the bank from where I have taken the loan. It is hypothecated. So even though I have paid, but I need the clearance. Similarly, if you have got it converted, so you need to have the proper papers or proper clearance for the same. So basically we are talking here is कि fraud कहाँ पे होगा, जहाँ पे आप कोई भी material fact hide कर रहे हो या कोई भी wrong statement उसके अंदर आप उनको बोल रहे हो, तो जिससे आपकी कंसेंट ऑफ द पार्टी. अब मेरे को सेम प्रॉपर्टी अगर 5 लाख लेस में मिल रही है, सो आई वुड गो फॉर दैट. व्हाई वुड आई शेल आउट 5 लाख रुपीज एक्स्ट्रा, राइट? तो जहां पे कंसेंट ऑफ द पार्टी डिसीजन मटेरियल फैक्ट से रिलेटेड है और वो इफेक्ट होता है, तो वहां पे वो आपका फ्रॉड की कैटेगरी में आ जाता है. where you are intentionally deceiving the other party, you are not telling the other party कि yes this is the additional cost और पिछले 5 साल के बिल पे नहीं हुए हैं तो ये आपके ऊपर बर्डन आएगा, right? So complete disclosure of facts should be there whenever we are entering into the contract, right? Can we move further? Now we say the effect of fraud. So effect of fraud I think we can discuss in the next class because कर लेते हैं quickly discuss, repeat कर लेंगे. Remedies in case of fraud, एक तो होता है कि आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को सेट असाइड कर सकते हो, वॉइडेबल तो है ये आपके ऑप्शन पे. सेकेंडली यू कैन कंपेल कि आप कहाँ पर सेट असाइड नहीं कर सकते, जहां पे आपने ऑलरेडी उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को अफर्म कर दिया या आपका टाइम खत्म हो गया उसमें, इट हैज टेकन लॉन्ग टाइम एंड आफ्टर रीजनेबल टाइम यू वांट टू सेट इट असाइड. नो, वंस यू हैव एक्सेप्टेड along with the fraud, along with that fact, तो उस केस में आप सेट असाइड नहीं कर सकते, यू हैव टू परफॉर्म. And where the time is over, the reasonable time is over, then in that case, suppose after 1 year the electricity company have send you the bill, and you're means we have sent you the bill, but after 1 year you want to set it aside. So it's not so. So reasonable time period should not have been lapsed. Another thing is कि जहां पर तीसरी पार्टी को आपने आपने प्रॉपर्टी ली और आपने आगे प्रॉपर्टी एज इट इज बी ने सी को सेल कर दी, ए ने बी को सेल करी, बी ने सी को सेल करी, तो अब बी उसको सेट असाइड नहीं कर सकता ए के साथ, बिकॉज द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द थर्ड पार्टी हैव ऑलरेडी बीन एंटर्ड इनटू, राइट। एंड वेयर एवर यू हैव ऑलरेडी अफर्म द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, तो वहां पर और जहां पर आपकी कुछ डैमेजेस हैं वो आप उसमें क्लेम कर सकते हो। सपोज दिस 5 लाख रुपीज यू कैन डिमांड, or you can ask A to get it converted into freehold first and then transfer the property, right? Or you can ask to pay clear all the electricity bills first, and then you get the transfer, right? So these all the are the remedies. So we will discuss when we'll discuss about the misrepresentation. So these remedies we are going to discuss in detail again. And if you have any queries, we can discuss. And fraud misrepresentation में बहुत ज़्यादा difference